I'm sure
Yeah.
it exists, and don't make a dick joke, but people are usually vegetarian by choice.
Where would a dick joke fit in there?
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, a show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Quintuplets. Quintuplets went 22 episodes with only one season on Fox. Today we're talking about episode 1, which is called Pilot, originally airing June 16th, 2004. To get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me, as always, the boys, most of the boys, Nick, Ferg, and Gordo. What's going on, guys? No Joe this week.
Heyo, when did we install a bitch detector?
Hey, trademark.
And quick apologies up front for two things. A, my voice. I can't talk right now.
And B, his face.
That's why we're an audio podcast.
Yeah. No, but for real, Joe wanted to be here this week, but for Christmas, he was recently gifted, it was like a pottery class. It's a week-long thing. The dates were not negotiable, so he's kind of doing that at the moment. So he sends his best.
Oh, now we can finally reenact that scene from Ghost like we always wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
I was curious about this, though, because when he told us about it, I was wondering, are they working on one really good piece, or are they just banging out like a bunch of pieces over a week?
I don't know.
I assumed it was like that Ryan fun time.
Well, I think it was like a fundamentals of first.
Oh, okay. So you learn and
Then you do something towards the end.
Did you just call Plaza Funtime Ryan Funtime?
He was thinking of Ryan Family
Ryan's-
Amusements and mixed it up with Plaza Funtime. It's that age-old art form for striking again.
You guys knew exactly what I was talking about,
I
though,
know, but
where you just
still.
paint like the ducks.
And I want to I want to mention real quick, too, this is week 2 of January. This is Kyle's pick. Kyle picked Quintuplets. Kyle recently, actually, a few weeks ago, had a birthday, so happy super belated at this point. Got some S1E1 gear, so, thank you for that. Thank you for wanting that to be something for your birthday. You can also get yourself an S1E1 shirt over at S1E1pod.com, so quick plug for that.
Hey, why are you being so nice to Kyle when Kyle was so
Kyle,
mean
we
to us?
appreciate you
Yeah.
and we want you to stick around, but what did we do to you? Why did we deserve this? Was this a joke? Did he? I forget in the in the interaction that we had with him.
No, he was actually kind. He picked something originally and thought it was a little too long, which truthfully, we have a few long ones in January, so it was nice that he cut one down and then selected this one. So this was a show I didn't.
A+ for originality. I don't think we would have ever really considered this.
It's in our wheelhouse. We've done shows along these lines, but I didn't know about it, so I don't think I would have picked it unless I found it in an article.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'd never heard of it either.
Yeah.
Kyle, also the reason why I was couldn't count to 5 properly, because I think we were debating because his was not a Spotify and he had an earlier release for his tops for his I think it was YouTube. This is an Andy Richter show called Quintuplets. 2004, the year we graduated. I don't remember the show existing, but we've talked about this before. This is also an era where are we watching as much TV at this point? At this age, we're just kind of
No.
off into the world.
I don't know. There was no era where I wasn't watching a lot of TV.
Well, I mean, I talked about this and I can't remember if it was on air or pre or post show one day, but I had mentioned the fact that Andy Richter plays, I think it's triplets on, or it might even be quintuplets as a joke to this on Arrested Development, right? He plays it's him and he plays a bunch of, and when I heard about this show, I thought that is what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Andy Richter and 4 other Andy Richter brothers, and that was not what we got at all.
And because of Nick's description, that's what I thought we were going to get.
I wish we got that show. Just 5 Andy Richters.
No, instead we got Chili from the OC.
I can get into him later, but have we discussed Johnny? His real name's Johnny Lewis. Have we discussed his demise?
I didn't know if we should get into it super early in the episode because I don't.
We can. All right, we'll breach it. We'll breach it later then.
You're gonna scare all the quintuplet fans away.
But yeah, quick numbers: IMDb 6.8, Rotten Tomatoes 13%, no audience score. Yeah, if you want to watch this one, you can go on YouTube. There's a couple different versions you can find on YouTube, so it is watchable. I don't think it's on any streamer at the moment, but you can find it on YouTube in its entirety.
So, Andy Richter and his wife's character on this were on, as their characters were on that show, The New Adventures of Old Christine. I'm sure we'll cover that eventually too. They had a cameo in that.
Is that a spinoff?
I think it was just like a fun, hey, look.
They play the same exact characters. They're not.
Yeah, it's something I discovered when I was looking for the thing about the house a little while ago on IMDb.
Oh, Nick, no, I don't think The New Adventures of Old Christine is a spinoff.
I guess. Yeah, there's some muddy water there that we've never really cleared up on what exactly constitutes a spinoff, I guess.
I think a character has to be on the earlier show first for it to be a spinoff. If you bring a character from a.
Oh, it went the other direction.
Yeah, it's just
okay,
more.
all
Like,
right,
that's
okay,
more of
yeah.
like a wink and a nod.
It's kind of like how Urkel was on Family Matters, but you wouldn't call either a spin-off of the other.
Urkel was always on Family Matters.
I'm sorry, I meant he was on an episode of Full House, not Family Matters. I'm
Oh, right.
sorry.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha,
Right.
gotcha.
I just misspoke like an idiot.
Yeah, but Family Matters is a spinoff of Perfect Strangers,
That's true.
which we did cover.
Which we did cover very, very long ago. If you want to go back into our archives and give that one a listen. To get right into this episode, because I don't know how long I have a voice for, we start off in a doctor's office in 1989 in New Jersey. And that's when we first meet Bob and Carol Chase, and they're talking to a doctor. And he's saying, like, hey, listen, guys, it looks like these fertility drugs paid off, and you guys are going to have a baby. And they're, so excited. And, and you hear her say how, I'm so happy right now. I don't think I'm ever going to stop smiling. And then it cuts to when she's actually, giving birth, months later. And, a baby comes out and like, oh, it's a boy. And then it transitions to, so that makes 3 boys and 2 girls. Because as we have learned, fertility drugs, the probability of having multiples is a lot higher.
Gives you super sperm, right?
So, so now they got quintuplets.
Yeah, I mean,
That's rough.
that is rough. Yeah.
Because it would have been like your chances are high of having identical ones, not fraternal twins like they have, because none of them are identical.
Yeah, but you know what, Ferg? It's tough to find 5 people who are this bad of actors to put in a show. So, I mean, they did good in that respect.
It's not that bad.
No, the kid actors are really bad in this. It's Chili's the best one, and I will.
I think he's one of the worst. Well,
Oh, I don't know if
I
I,
don't
would
even
say
know
that.
who Chili
Yeah.
is.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. He's bad, but he's out of them. He acts better than any of them.
We'll obviously get into it as we go along, but I would say most of the problems I had were more the script itself.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you can only do so much. The best actor in the world can't, polish
No.
a turd.
Because I'll
much.
say this, Andy Richter, who I think is very funny, I don't think is terribly funny in the show.
That's what I'm saying. I think if you were to, I mean, especially like just look at Conan, because Andy Richter spent 100 years working with Conan on the show, and I think anybody in the industry would probably tell you that Andy Richter is just probably one of the funnier people in the industry, even as far as writing and acting goes, and he just not in this.
He's a good number 2.
Yeah, he's a great sidekick.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean,
He's an Ed McMahon. He's not a Johnny Carson.
no, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that I don't think
He's a Robin to a Batman. He's a Barnacle Boy to Mermaid Man.
Bet you he doesn't have any more.
He was struggling with that last one.
ahead.
Laurel to Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy equals.
not according to Gordo, apparently.
I got no more.
Anyways, yeah.
All right. Well,
FYI, sorry, Chili at the time. We keep calling him Chili. What's his name on the
I
show?
never won't.
Pierce.
Pierce is currently dating Katy Perry at the time of this
Now?
episode.
Oh.
No, at the time of the
Not now.
Well, no, not now.
What happened to Chili?
I gotta hear that. I gotta hear this
Okay, all right,
tragic
let's
story.
so Pierce, there's no middle or older. They're all whatever. But Pierce, the one who they just kind of make autistic in this, right? They right off the bat say that he has like this weird tactile thing.
Okay,
and
okay, him.
then, they make him play with a furry ball to keep him distracted, and he's just kind of done. Anyways, he was in a show called The OC that all of us watched when we were, in our early.
In this year, in like 2004.
That's right. But he wasn't on the show at this time though. But
I remember.
So in like 2011, it seems to stem from 2011. He got into a motorcycle accident and had pretty bad head trauma. And after that, like never really was the same, and it was kind of manic a lot. His father tried getting him into like some sort of psychiatric help or, CAT scans at doctors and stuff like that. And Johnny Lewis just kind of said no every time. I think cut to 2012 now, and he is living with this lady who kind of like has like a, what's it called? What is it called when, like in Silicon Valley, when Ehrlich has the house? Like, what do they call that house?
Oh,
A manor? Halfway house?
the place where all the smart people go. Yeah, think tank.
It's the term they use for it. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it. Fucking whatever. Anyways, she's like this old. She was like an 80-year-old lady, and she just kind of had this house that she would rent rooms to like struggling actors and writers and stuff like that in Los Angeles. And so he was living there and was apparently insane and like undiagnosed and was on tons of drugs. Killed her and her cat.
Oh.
One day, just like went like crazy. I'm not sure. There's not a whole lot of info on it, weirdly enough, but killed her and her cat, and then made his way to the roof somehow and fell off accidentally and killed himself. So like the cops were called and they didn't really know what happened. And they were able to connect the dots pretty simply, apparently, that he killed the owner of the house and her cat, and then was like running from nothing and fell off the roof and died, and just died at 28 years old in Los Angeles.
That's fucking insane.
It is crazy, yeah, because
I really wish you saved that story for the end, because now I feel guilty making fun of him in this episode.
yeah, well, you know what, you should. But it's a pretty wild.
That's a wild story.
He was in something else we did recently, I think. And we talked about this, but it was one of those things we might have discussed it off air, so I can't remember if we actually talked about that on air.
I'd remember.
So yeah, Pierce in this show ended up being a psychotic person, killed someone, and then accidentally killed himself somehow. So R.I.P.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
It's always a tough call when you're talking about like brain injury and stuff like that. It does add a layer to what's going on, but
He was also in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, that's true.
Good for him. We got one good one.
well, all that aside, back to the delivery room, and these 5 babies come out, and Carol saying that it felt like a parade just came out of her vagina, and asks Bob, "Can we never have sex again?" He says, "Don't worry, honey. After what I've seen today, I'm good."
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't very original. Like this is so, everything is so boilerplate.
I'm getting a lot of Fox right off the bat with a lot of this, like mentioning, just saying vagina and stuff like that is just Fox being, we're going to be a little edgier.
Yes, nothing says edgy like the medical term for the woman's private parts.
You could just say vagina. We just said it.
Do you think it's like, can you not say pussy on TV?
You can, I think, after 11.
Like, it's like contextually, like you can like call somebody a pussy probably.
I heard Tweety Bird say it to Sylvester a million times. You can say it on TV.
Context is key.
Yeah, context is key. I don't think you could refer to a vagina as a pussy though.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think that's why you'll see a lot of times where people will joke and make the joke, "Oh, it's talking about a cat," like, and like things like that.
No.
But yeah, Cal starts crying, looking at all the babies. He's thinking, "Yeah, I know this is going to be such a nightmare." It's like, no, they're so beautiful. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's why I'm crying too." And then we get to the intro, and the intro's kind of quick. It just kind of like looks like home movie looking footage with the title of show over it and some music. It's nothing special, but it's fine. It's simple. I'm good with it.
I honestly didn't even remember it.
It was very unremarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, next scene, it's modern day now. Well, modern day being 2004. And all the kids are teenagers, and we see them all like arguing as everyone's returning home from a day of shopping. And you get the parents yelling at them, like, can't you guys go 5 minutes without fighting? And remember when we said we never yell at them? Ha 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 ha.
God, that's not funny by any standards. who greenlit that joke? Also, can you imagine going shopping like with 5 kids? Fuck that. 5 like grown-up kids too, pretty much, like who you can't just buy the fluff shit for.
So we're to believe, so this goes from 89 to 2000. So we're to believe that they're all 15, right?
Yeah.
14,
Yeah.
15 at this point.
Should have made Gordo do the math. They would have all been in their 20s.
Weren't they all probably in their acting 20s?
I looked it up. I didn't look up all,
No, the little one definitely wasn't.
but a lot of them are born like right around this era. They're actually not too far off. A couple of them were like 88 and stuff like that. A couple were 86. So not crazy. It's not like we have like 30-year-olds playing teenagers. Also, we learned that all 5 of these kids, there's alliteration. All 5 of them have a P name. The smallest of the 5 is Patton, who says, how come everyone else gets new clothes and I only get to buy underwear and socks? Obviously, because he can easily wear everyone's hand-me-downs. He's like significantly smaller than the rest. His dad's like, don't compare. You get a lot of things the others don't, like growth hormones. That was money well spent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really I think it would have been funnier if they just got like 5 really similar looking. You know, not similar. They obviously don't need to be like twin level, but the fact that he just seems so much younger.
Yeah, for a little while, I forgot that they were quintuplets.
Exactly,
I thought
right?
He
And
was
it's just
just
like-
a little.
So yeah, it's just like, I don't know, why make it that? You could have just made a regular sitcom with 5 siblings. You know what I mean? They didn't have to be quintuplets if that's how you're going to cast it.
That was kind of my thing at this point, because they went out of their way to make sure all 5 were so different.
Yeah.
So if they're all so different and they look different and they're different sizes and everything, there was no real need to make them quintuplets. Like, it doesn't.
It was
change
supposed to
much.
show
Yeah.
the struggle of expecting one kid and getting 5 at once. That's why they're quintuplets.
Yeah, but then you cut to when they're all 15.
I agree. There should have been a couple montage in between scenes, and we didn't
Yeah.
get them.
I feel, well, this is also, I should mention, a multicam. I feel like if this was a single cam type show, you would have gotten that kind of a thing, like the voiceover montage narration thing.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
But this is more your classic sitcom.
You know Patton from? He was the little kid from Punk, the one that did all the dirty jokes and would trick adults.
He was in something else. I ran through his IMDb. This keeps happening to me lately, too, where I'm going through people's IMDbs and I'm not finding what I'm looking for. And I don't know what it is.
I fell into that a little bit with him, other than the Punk thing, but I was like, no, there's something else. There's something else, and I
Yeah.
could not figure it out. He runs off. Now we see Penny. Penny's complaining that Pierce is like rubbing her face, which is such a weird thing to do.
It was a weird thing to do.
You mentioned it earlier. He might have sensory things. I don't want to say that they're trying to peg him as autistic necessarily, but they're making the character just because they're trying to make him the goofy one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a different way that you can make him goofy without making him like weird.
He's very I don't know how to. He's just annoying, and I think is not in a funny way either. It's just annoying.
Well, that's why I want to differentiate, because everything I want to say about this character, I don't want to make it feel like it's a downplay on autistic people, because I don't think that's necessarily what they were going for. Because
No.
he falls into Ferg's too dumb to function category, where he's just like,
100%. Yeah.
you know, like later on we find out the kid ate batteries for no reason, you know, and
The dancing part, I wanted to rip my eyes out.
yeah. So he's just like annoyingly dumb. Penny, by the way, it's before the time, but like she looks just like the girl from Modern Family.
That's what they were going for sure. Yeah.
When did Modern Family come out? Was that already out though, or is it out later than this?
It was close, if anything. I wanted to say Modern Family was 2009. Wow. It was so later than I thought, but
So maybe Modern Family wanted to make Patricia.
I don't think they gave a fuck
Penny,
about this show.
Penny. But
I was close.
Ferg, do you have instant hatred towards Pierce the second you see him?
Yeah, I hated Chili. I hated that whole season.
Was it because though you remember him as Chili though, or
Yes.
like yeah? So because I feel like Pierce's character in general would be enough to do it, but it's tough to differentiate when you know him so strongly from something else.
Just going through his like IMDb, he's been in some clunkers, dude.
Yeah.
That was the most Boston I think you've ever sounded.
That
on
was
this
pretty
show.
much some fucking
You're fucking
clunkers,
in some
dude.
clunkers, dude.
Like he was in Alien vs Predator Requiem. That was terrible. One missed call. It's another bad one. I actually liked him in Sons of Anarchy, but it's an exception to every rule. Oh, the OC. I couldn't have been him instead of Johnny, although I hated Johnny too.
Johnny was the worst. Oh my god.
At least Johnny's death made him sad. Fuck you, Chili.
When years down the road, when we're done with S1E1, we're gonna do an OC watch along.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to do that now. Let's go.
Those are hour-long episodes of I don't even. Oh boy, we'd have to figure out a different format to not make those episodes so long.
Oh, we just watch along with it and discuss.
We could just do it. We could do it by the season. We'll go by season, and we'll
do 4
just
episodes.
and we'll do 4 episodes.
Yeah. They're saying the parents off to the side are saying how Pierce is gonna, end up living with them until they die. And then we meet Paige, who's the other of the 2 daughters.
You know what Paige is from?
I didn't recognize her actually.
She was Millicent from Parks and Rec. What's his name's daughter? One of Jerry's daughters.
Oh my god,
Oh.
she was. Holy shit.
Right.
Yeah. Good call. Good call.
Yeah, I had to take on the Joe role and do some actual fucking resurge for once. I like
Fucking
it.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
You and your dumb pottery.
He's gonna make a fucking cup today. So Paige walks up. She goes, you shouldn't let Pierce annoy Penny like that. It's bad enough everyone at school makes fun of her. And Penny's like, everyone?
Which is the worst delivered line I think I've ever seen on a sitcom. Everyone was so poorly delivered.
Yes.
It was I cringed through it. It was awful, awful. God.
I'll say this though, her talking shit about the sister, but in like the backhanded way, it was one of the few jokes I thought worked on this show that made me laugh like almost every time.
They're kind of finding a way to give everyone a quick introduction and then get them off, right? So now these 2 girls run off, and then we have Parker, you would think he's the oldest, but they're obviously all the same age, but he's the tallest and looks oldest of the bunch. And he's like, Dad, I need some advice. And basically, there's a hot girl at school that likes him, but there's an even hotter girl that he thinks might like him, and he's trying to debate if he should hold off for the really hot one or just settle for the hot one.
This is when I was officially done with this show already. With this line.
He's like one of the only ones from the show who like did. I've seen him in a couple things. Like I think he was.
On a few things we covered.
Yeah. Well, what did he do that we covered?
So on What We Do in the Shadows, we didn't cover Shameless, but we like Shameless.
The oldest? Not the oldest, but the.
Not necessarily. Bear in mind, Frank, you're talking about shows he's been in, not necessarily episodes we've covered.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
in the he wasn't in the pilot.
He was in the Limitless TV show. I think he was the main character, which was actually
Yes.
a Fox show, if I remember, and it failed after the first season.
His name is Jake McDorman.
So we cut to later in the day. Now we have the parents in bed, and Carol saying, "Did you notice the Quints didn't buy not one piece of identical clothing? They used to look so good when they wear their adorable little sailor outfits." And Bob's like, "Honey, people thought they were chimps."
I hate that they call them the Quints as their parents because they would have just said the kids. And they do it throughout the whole episode, and it really pisses me off.
So I thought about this too, but it's the same thing as saying the twins.
Yeah, people say the twins.
My nephews are twins, but I say that, and as we always just call them the boys, though. We never really call them the twins, so I
See?
guess maybe it is weird that they call them Quints.
Yeah, but I'm not in the situation, so I can't really say. I'll say my uncles, who have both since passed, but they were twins, and I think like they used to be referred to as the twins. So
I think if you have other siblings who aren't twins or a part of that like litter, so to speak,
right.
that
Yeah, that's
You-
a good way
you
to
would-
differentiate. Yeah.
you would differentiate between the twins, or like if you had another nephew, Nick.
They should call them Tuppies.
Well, I mean they're part of
Tuppies.
even like a Quince chat room. We find out soon after. So like maybe that's why like they feel like they're part of this like special group because they have quintuplets.
I mean, how many people have quints?
When you ask a question like that, you do understand we don't know that answer off the top of our head. So it would be easier for you to look that up and just tell us that answer, right? I don't know how many quints exist in the country right now.
Go to 1 in every 60 million births.
I was going to say quintuplets are extremely rare. This is according to Google AI Overview. Quintuplets are extremely rare, occurring naturally in about 1 in every 55 million births. In 2018, there were only 10 reported sets of 5 or more babies.
In the world, not the country, the whole world?
In the world.
That's insane.
In the world. So,
well, the idea of having 5 at once is pretty insane. I mean, you think about how rarely you even see triplets.
Yeah, that's true. Quadruplets. Actually, I mean, I know a triplet. Actually, I bet triplets are probably... Google the triplets. I bet triplets are actually way more common than that. Yeah, I mean, we grew up in a town with a surprising amount of twins, and I think maybe it's not the town. I think it's just twins are common, like or more common than you would think.
Men back in the day had super sperm.
Yeah,
one in every 8,000 to 10,000 live births are triplets.
See, okay, so that's like considerably more, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're talking about the other quints they know in the quints chat room, there's the Hellberg quints, and they're like, they were just using Alexis ad. So they're like benefiting from having quintuplets because they're so rare, and they're trying to like, why can't our kids do stuff like that? But again, these kids don't even look like siblings, so how could you?
No,
like there's no use for them in a Alexis ad or something like that. They look nothing alike.
They don't deserve it.
Plus, one of them's weird. One of them's small.
Nothing wrong with being small.
Yeah, you are small and weird.
Yeah, I'm the small one and the weird one combined into one.
The tears. By the way, this is right around too when Bob's trying to explain why their kids aren't as profitable. He's like, well, like we've got a few weak links. When she's like, we do not. He's like, I think Patton might be a dwarf.
Just like your own father shitting on you for that is hysterical to me for some reason.
That's very Fox, the parents shitting on the kids.
Yeah.
And then that conversation shifts into how they never really get to do anything alone together, the two of them, and how, they could use some romantic time. And she's telling him, well, I do have 8 minutes before the wash is done. And he goes, 8 minutes? That even gives us some time for fancy stuff.
Insert corny quick sex joke here, because why not? Fucking.
I thought when they said 8 minutes, it was going to be 8 minutes. That means we can go twice.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what they did, yeah.
And then we transition to the boys' room, and you see Patton, like, who's the smaller one, and he's, like, trying to do some benching. And after a couple reps, like, the bar is stuck to his neck, and he's like, help, I can't breathe. And the older, not the older, Jesus, they look so different. The bigger brother, the larger brother runs up and, like, helps him and gets the bar off.
He was also sleeping on, like, the smallest twin bed.
Well, the parents have like a full-size bed too. Like the two of them in it was...
That bed is so small for 2 adults. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. He's asking his brother, like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm bulking up for the ladies. It's mating season, bruh. I feel like they really tried to make him, like, without being foreign, they like kind of fezzed him up a little bit, Yeah,
you know what vibe I got from him is Stifler's little brother.
Sure.
That's a good call.
Very sexual.
Yeah, but like he tries to like play the part, but like isn't actually ready for it,
Yeah, which we will get into.
Yeah.
And then phone rings. Parker, who's the bigger brother, picks up. And he's like, oh, hey, yeah, Saturday night? Cool. All right, I'll see you there. And he hangs like, yes. And then Pierce is like, yes. Why am I happy? He's like, Brooke Taylor's having a party and said she really wants me to go. I'm so in. And then the two brothers like, yeah, we're down for a party Saturday. He's like, oh, well, she only really invited me to the party. It's like, well, can't you see if we can go too? It's like, oh, I tried. It's like, we heard you on the phone.
That was the one time I laughed in the episode when Pierce was like, we were right here.
That's the one time he didn't they didn't play his character to be like so dumb that he wouldn't catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked when he said, we can Monday morning quarterback this all the time, but, the fact is you can't come.
Now they all kind of start wrestling with one another over the situation.
Yo, Patton levels Parker. Like that first hit, the little one, he hits him with full force, and I'm pretty sure like he really wasn't expecting it because he takes him off his feet.
He probably told him like, "Go ahead, hit me as hard as you can," like thinking it won't matter, and then the kid probably just had more force than he expected.
Yeah.
So now the three of them are all wrestling over the party situation, which sharp cuts to the parents again, and Bob's kissing on Carol's feet. Didn't expect that.
It's the weird stuff they were talking about.
The fancy stuff, not the weird
Oh,
stuff.
fancy stuff.
But he's like legit kissing this woman's feet, and I'm wondering like, do they have any type of relation outside of like, are they at least friends outside of this show? Like that's such a weird. All right, so for this next scene, we're just gonna have you legit holding and kissing her feet.
Or maybe Tarantino directed it.
It would be even weirder if it was just improv.
That's borderline assault if that's just improv.
That's why she got out of there so quick.
That's one thing I don't think. You thank God I'm not into feet.
Hey, but we're not kink shaming you if you are.
I'm just saying.
The first thing I thought of, like, meanwhile, someone's listening going,
Hey, fuck those guys.
The fuck, man? Wrong with a little foot action. I mean, of all the fetishes, it's probably the least,
Yeah, sure.
harmful or.
well, like, didn't like, we're in January right now. Pornhub just put out like they always put out their like top search things. Like, it's pretty high up there. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
I
normal.
wanna say-
like, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's not my thing. You're either a foot person or you're not.
But you can say about anything. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's one of those things. I'm personally not. I don't like feet at all. I have like an aversion to them, if anything. But I feel like
He can't even look down.
the idea of like a foot fetish is one of those things where it's, I want to say so much more common than you realize, but it's one of those ones that is rarely spoken about.
Yeah, it just pops up. It just creeps up on you one day.
I think just by like root of fetishes, none of them are talked about. You know what I mean? Like,
That's what makes it a fetish.
but according to Google, foot fetishes are considered common because of a neurological phenomenon where the areas of the brain responsible for processing sensation from the feet and genitals are located very close to each other, which can lead to a cross wiring or neural overlap, causing arousal from foot stimulation to be easily triggered.
Whose feet and genitals are near each other?
No, their pathways are near each other.
In the brain.
In the brain.
In the brain.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, the fact that there's a medical explanation for it actually kind of gets them off the hook a little bit.
Again, I'm not kink shaming you. I'm just saying.
Kind of came off a little kink shamey the way you presented it.
I was just curious as to why it was so common because
Gordo, nobody makes fun of you for your furry fetish, Gordo.
And we're not, hey, if any of you,
We are not judging the furries. Yeah, don't piss off the furries.
I judge the furries a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
It takes dedication to be a furry.
point of the story, anyone listening, don't let Gordo ever get you down. We've watched him make out with his dog.
Gordo's got a dog foot fetish, so
The dog just likes to lick my feet. I don't like it, but the dog, it's just the only part that she licks.
When you said that, Nick, I forgot that Gordo legitimately sent us pictures of his dog
I
licking
told
his
him
feet.
to send it too because he sent it in another chat we were in, and I said, if you want to see Jay lose his mind, put this in the podcast chat, and it worked out perfectly.
I almost blocked you.
Yeah.
She does. Anytime I put my feet up, she goes to my feet and just licks them. Won't kiss my face, won't kiss anything. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
And, you push her off. She's a dog.
Maybe her neural pathways are crossed.
Well, allow me to figure out how to transition out of this as quickly as humanly possible.
Hey, thank God Joe's not here. That's fine.
Bob's sitting there holding her feet going, hey, maybe we can do something that involves me. She's like, oh, okay. And they're about to start kissing. And she's like, oh, honey, my foot was just in your mouth.
Valid concern, honestly.
Then they do start to kiss, and you hear the kids arguing or wrestling from the other room. She's like, "What the hell's that?" And she like throws him off the bed and like runs over to the room, and that's when you see the three, and they're talking about how they're mad because they weren't invited to Brooke's party, and the two girls follow behind the mom, and Paige is like, "What's the big deal? You're not the only ones who weren't invited to the party." It's like, "You weren't invited either?" "Oh no, of course I was. I'm talking about Penny, and she's handling it great. If it was me, I'd kill myself." And then Penny goes, "Well, let's pretend it's you." And that got like the hugest audience pop out of, I think, anything in the whole episode.
Teen suicide.
Kill yourself. Yeah. Is this live studio? I didn't look into it.
I don't know. I kind of got the vibe.
I can't imagine that
was.
many people would laugh at any of this. So
I got the vibe that this was live studio. But I thought for the sake of Penny getting a good retort on Paige, who's constantly making fun of her, I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, that was good. I'll give her that. She has some good zingers in this.
And then like this I didn't like. This is when the mom's like, "Hey, look, kids, you know my 2 or more rule. If 2 or more of you are invited to a party, you all have to go or no one goes."
That's such a bullshit rule.
What a weird thing to just insert in here.
So they can't have separate friends and like you have to bring your whole fucking clan.
What if the 2 girls got invited to like a slumber party that was girls only?
I'm sure Patton would love to go to that.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's just no way that makes sense in all circumstances.
There's rumble in my jungle.
That's a line I would say.
Yeah,
it certainly is.
Bob walks up. He's like, honey, are you done here? I'd like to finish our discussion about modern trends in architecture. And
oh, I thought he said transit architecture.
No, trends in architecture. But they're like, they're going to have sex. And then the phone rings. Paige picks up. And I was wondering at this point, this is the second time we got a phone call. They look like house phones. But do they?
Yeah.
Is just the right person always holding the phone at the right time? Because earlier we got the other call.
Could be happenstance.
I thought about that too, and then I realized it was just because
This is TV.
Yeah, there's no easy way to do that.
The girl having the party would have called Paige.
Yeah, but do they all have cell phones? Like, these aren't cell phones they're holding. They're the house phone.
I mean, they could have their own phone lines.
Yeah, they could.
You think all 5 kids have one?
Well, no, maybe it's like a girl's phone line, a boy's phone line.
Yeah, because they're clearly like they have a phone in the boys' room, so maybe the girls have a cordless in their room.
When we were kids, I think Ferg's the only kid
Right.
I knew that had his own phone line.
Yeah.
Boiled.
Oh, yeah.
And you think, too, like, what an unnecessary thing to have at that age.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, like, I was on the phone with people all the time at that age. It would have been pretty.
I
Nice
feel
to
like
have my
until
own.
the internet came about, that's when you really would have wanted separate phone lines.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. for
In the
sure.
in the early days of internet, where the phone line was being used because you were online.
Yeah.
I only had that line because I inherited it. I took over my sister's room who had her own phone line in there.
So Paige picks up. It's Brooke. She's having a makeup crisis. And the mom's like, "Give me the phone." And Paige is like, "Oh, Mom, I don't know. Your makeup choices are questionable at best." I actually thought that line was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's when you quick hang up and go, oops.
Yeah.
So Carol takes the phone, asks Brooke to talk to her mother. The mother gets on the phone. She's like, "Hey, I was just wondering if it was possible if we could have a couple other kids invited to your party that you're having on whatever night." "Oh, really? Okay, well, I'm glad we spoke too. Bye." Hangs up, problem solved. "Oh, so we're all going to the party?" "Nope, none of you are going. Turns out Brooke's mother's going away and didn't know that there was going to be a party. So now that's canceled."
I was surprised at how little the mother realized what a negative effect this would have on her children. Like, you just publicly shamed your children, all 5 of them, in one 30-second phone call.
I don't think she's thinking about the high school aspect of it, you know?
Let's say even if it wasn't the mother didn't know, she still called to force the other kids to get invited. That still would have made them get teased at school.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But at least that's an excusable action, right? Like, you can say, from a parental standpoint, you could be like, I want all my kids to be involved, and, in hindsight, maybe agree that was not the best move to make. It doesn't matter at any point. Getting an entire party canceled because of you and knowing your 5 kids are going to take the hit for it is ridiculous.
So I was trying to wonder her motive. Do you think she realized that the mom wouldn't know and would shut it down?
No.
Or do you think she was legit trying to just ask if a couple more kids could go?
I think she was legit asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't know yet. And like usually we'd be able to figure out something like that.
Also, too, if the other 3 got invited, it probably is known that they have this 2 or more rule. So, like, it probably wouldn't be weird if, like, they got invited and the mom had known and it was actually going to happen at Brooke's house. So you could at least duck out of that.
It's weird.
Publicly you could.
At this age, well, it comes off as like the mom struggles at this idea that these kids are growing up and don't necessarily travel in a pack at all times. Like they live 5 different lives, which is okay. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen.
Not for the Quints.
You can't force that. You have to let them all live their own lives.
Yeah, just how things go. I mean, I understand if you have, it seems like her perspective is, I have kids that aren't being invited to parties and they're less popular than a couple of the other ones, and I want them to be included. And I understand that aspect of it. That, as a parent, I can understand her motive there. But the idea of, like, I missed when the 5 of them did everything together, like, you have to come to terms with that's just going to end at some point.
Yeah, like, they're all not going to go to the same college.
They're going to just grow up and have different interests. They might like different music or different after-school activities. Like, so you just
sorry, you weren't all accepted to the same college. Now I guess you can't go.
2 or more rule, yeah. So now, immediately, these kids are like, well, thanks, Mom. Our lives are pretty much over.
And she's just like, sorry, see you later.
Well, yeah, it turns into and then fucking horny dad's just sitting there going, honey, that trends in architecture conversation, remember? It's just like, all right, honey, I got laundry to do. It's like, oh, we switched codes. And wait, why are you going to do laundry? And the parents leave. Now the kid's like, oh, great. So now, because of us, there's no party. And like, they all acknowledge what this is going to mean for them at school. Paige is like, I don't even know where the loser kids eat lunch. Will you show us, Penny? And Penny goes, I don't eat with the losers. I eat by myself. And then realizes that that's even worse and like just leaves. We get another transition. Now we're in the kitchen, like I would say the next morning. And she's putting together like the board. The board is what we see during all the transition scenes, like their big weekly schedule thing.
Oh, can we also talk about the transition music? Like that happens in between all these scenes. It's like, in a house full, I got mine.
Yeah, they play that music and they cut to their activity board, which shows what they're supposed to do because that's how they keep track of all 5 kids, what they're doing.
But it seemed like every 2 seconds that stupid song came on.
It didn't bother me too much.
Didn't really stand out to me, yeah.
Oh, it did for me. That's why I brought it up.
I have a weird thing where I prefer like when like interstitial music and stuff doesn't have lyrics and stuff. I feel like that's distracting.
Yeah.
But they're using this as kind of a weird, if you pay attention to the board, usually it's going to show you like what's happening next in the episode.
Yeah, I was trying to, it went really quickly. Like it was flashes and I tried reading to see if it was going to reference anything and I couldn't even read that fast. So
I tried once and missed the pause and gave up right away.
This isn't worth it.
Mom's making the schedule for the week, asking Bob if he's had any quality time with Pierce this week, puts him down for Thursday, and then he's saying to her, hey, well, guess what we're doing Saturday? She's like, let me check the board. It's not on the board. He's like, everything's on the board. The board is life, which is corny.
Dumb, yeah.
And he's like, forget about the board. Like, you and I are going to see Springsteen. And he's talking about how his buddy at work had extra tickets and he bought them off him. It's like, that's so great. Like, the Quints are going to be so happy. That's going to be a great experience for them. Like, well, it's going to be tough for them to remember the experience if they never have it because I only got 2 tickets.
Did you think my buddy at work had 7 extra Springsteen tickets? Like, what a fucking dumb assumption to make.
She kind of sucks, huh? I'm realizing it now.
Yeah, she does.
Well, it's also like, I listen, I get it. Like, she loves her kids, but also like, do those 5 kids all want to go see Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah, no. Like, kids of that age, even in 2004, were not into Bruce Springsteen.
No.
I think me and Joe both like Bruce Springsteen then.
I can't remember. Joe is one of those he either loathes or loves.
No,
Bruce
he
Springsteen.
he's seen
He likes the
Springsteen.
boss.
Like,
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's seen the boss in concert, I believe.
but it's one of those things like it's a weird family. Also, Bruce Springsteen's on a cheap ticket. So like
No.
to buy 7 tickets and odds are at least 3 of your kids could give a shit that they're there. Like that's just not worth the money.
Also, she knows the whole point of him doing it is to have quality time together. Them two.
Yeah, which has been something that's already been mentioned earlier.
Also, like, the other thing that kind of bugged me was like their short-sightedness on not understanding that, oh, we just ruined the kids' Saturday night by canceling a party they were supposed to go to. Let's go out on Saturday night and hope that they don't have a party of their own. Like, come on. It's so obvious, like, where this was going.
Sure, but in sitcom world, I'll accept it. This creates an opening, and it's like it's a natural reason to get them out of the house now.
And I don't mind the opening being created. I mind that I saw the opening coming 10 minutes ago. You know?
So did I.
Sitcom logic, though. You don't throw a party when your parents are just out for the night. They're going to be out of town. You need time.
Yeah, they need to be like away for the weekend.
Anyways, mom decides, you're right, the 2 of us should go together. It'll be a good time. Now we transition to the kids all coming home from school. And as expected, it was not a great day for them after the party being canceled on their behalf. They're hanging out. It's like this weird, like outside of the kitchen porch living room area, which is like their hangout spot.
Yeah.
It's just a porch with a divider.
But it has like an indoor couch. Like that thing would get disgusting. Like, it's not meant for all weather.
It might be covered, but either way, yeah, that's not an outdoor couch.
So they're talking how, it was an awful day and it's all thanks to mom. And they're saying how they're going to do something to like save their reps. Bob walks in or out and he's like, hey kids, what's the matter? Well, because mom did what she did, our whole school hates us. He's like, oh yeah, teen years are tough, fitting in and pressures and, what you're going to do on a Saturday night. But, as you get older, you realize that's not important. Unless you get tickets to Springsteen, like just such a weird, like not the way the dad would talk to their kids in this moment.
No, yeah. Very out of character.
And they're like, what? Like Saturday night, I'm taking your mom to see the boss. Rock and roll. And exits.
So lame.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I can't believe our parents have a better social life than we do. And then it's like, oh wait, I think I know a way to get the social stink off us. We have the party here Saturday night while mom and dad are at the Springsteen concert.
What a genius.
And it's like, well, what if mom and dad find out? They'll kill us. Relax, they're not going to find out. They still don't know about the time Pierce hit all those batteries. And then it cuts to him going, I never had more energy.
Oh my God. Who's letting this happen? Someone's allowing this. Multiple people are allowing these lines to be broadcast on network television.
Andy Richter.
I just don't like cases like that where it's, first off, if he ate a bunch of batteries, like that's not, he wouldn't just get energy. So,
well,
it's
yeah,
so
no
weird.
shit.
You're right. There would be no shit. Imagine if they were car batteries.
Well, if
That'd
he
be
ate a
impressive.
car battery, I'd be impressed.
Kind of looks like a snake. I bet it unhinge his jaw.
So now we get was it Patton going, Saturday night, the boy becomes a man. Good thing I got bunk beds so the ladies have a place to sit while they wait for their turn.
Not to tip my cap, but I hate the fact that he has a little success. I really just want him to strike out.
No, I think I'll say it worked out. Obviously, we're going to talk about
In
it
the
in a
end,
minute, but it cuts right to the concert, and it's Bob and Carol, and they're next to like these 2 people who are making out the whole time. You know what's funny? When I was looking at the couple making out, and I couldn't get it out of my head that the guy, until you saw his face, I thought was Nomar Garcia-Parra. I kept just trying to look at him to see if it was going to be Nomar. And then it's like, why would it be Nomar? It's 2004.
He was still playing.
He was still playing, but like
we traded we traded him in 2004.
Yeah, his name was very popular in 2004.
But he wasn't like a star anymore at that point. There's a reason he got traded.
You guys think the scene transitions are a little too like quick? Like they went from them talking about the party to them being at the concert like very suddenly. It's a pretty big time jump.
Didn't really notice that, honestly. It didn't stand out.
They could have condensed it all, made the party Friday night, had it so it was after school, so like, because it went from him going, we got tickets to the concert tomorrow, and then boop, he storms out of the room, and now we're at the concert the next night.
Well, I mean, it would have been nice if they had gone from delivery room to teenage years. So it seems
at least
to be constant.
That was meant to be like a big time jump, like origin story to present day. This was skipping like, flashing 40 hours in the future, and then you go, what happened? Anyways, at the concert, so you got these two people making out, and I like that when Bob notices, like, he just puts his arm around Carol and kisses her on the cheek. Like, oh, we could be a fun couple too.
He doesn't give any real affection back.
She's just thinking about the kids. She was about to call them when he does it.
Yeah, that's
some straight up Deborah activity.
I don't know where you guys stand, but I'm not a PDA person.
I don't mind some PDA. I'm not anti-PDA, but like the people making out in the middle of a concert, I always find weird.
Well, that's because you guys have never been to a Springsteen show.
No,
maybe
I know.
you gotta just go see the boss.
The boss gets the juices flowing, I guess.
If it was Gordo, if you want Gordo to get all like feeling a certain way at a concert, it'd have to be some like Norwegian metal band.
He's at the show and Martha's just licking his feet.
Then he just starts feeling himself up in public, though.
So now as they're sitting there at this concert, that couple that was next to them making out, like look over and they offer Bob a brownie. And at no point did he even think that it was a special brownie. He just went, ooh, brownie. Like that's a normal thing. They make them such like a cookie cutter like
dumbass
couple. Yeah, like they make them really plain Jane.
Yeah, there's no depth to these characters.
He's
it's
too
all
goofy,
just like
yeah.
very boilerplate character
So for him,
design.
yeah, so he eats the brownie, just not even like considering that something could be in it. He's like, ooh, these are delicious.
Who just brings regular brownies to a concert?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And then even when they tell him like, oh no, these are special brownies, like special. Yeah, it's the best brownies I've ever had. No, this is a special ingredient. And that's
I thought they were going to be like, oh, nutmeg?
Yeah.
Like,
I knew I tasted cinnamon.
Oh, nutmeg.
So first of all, when you bite a pot brownie.
yeah.
Like that shit tastes like
It's
dog
gross.
shit.
Yeah, it
And
tastes
it's dry
like
as
weed.
fuck.
I've never smoked the devil's lettuce. I've never partaken in any of the edibles. Aren't they like, I figured by now they'd be good, no?
No,
You can't. It's just like, all right. So you've smelled weed before. You've
Yeah.
smelled it because it's very potent. That potency translates to flavor too when you reduce it into like the oil and you make the butter to cook with it. It's impossible to hide.
I just feel like people have gotten so crafty over the years. Like there's like this whole baking show is like on television now about cooking with weed. Like it's so.
So the only thing that I could say you can't taste it is like in the peanut butter. You don't taste it.
it depends on how much shit you put in it. If you want to go to the fucking moon, it's gonna taste like fucking weed. It's gonna taste like a salad.
I really don't fuck with edibles either.
Neither do I.
Just,
I can't.
they're so,
It
now,
always
okay,
ends
so
bad.
now you can, right? Because think about it this way. So think about it. In 2004, your stupid friend makes a tray of pot brownies.
Yep.
And there's X amount of weed in it. You're mixing this batter, right? And then you pour this batter into the tray. It's very possible that a larger chunk of that solution is in one corner and not so much in the other corner. So you could say, oh, yeah, this is, a 20 milligram brownie. There's no way you can actually back that up because that one brownie could be 60 milligrams and the other one in the other corner could be 5, right? So there was never a good way to tell. And so you could either eat one, waste your time, nothing happens, or you could eat one and then turn green and you're having an awful experience the rest of the night. So it was just... But now with the legalization of everything, it's much more regulated, and it's, this shit's made in a fucking lab now. So your 5 milligram edibles are going to have 5 milligrams in them. So it's easier and safer now for sure.
Now, all of the products that exist now, because now you can basically eat, THC infused anything. Now nothing tastes great. Or
no, even the gummies now, the
you
one thing I will
get a
eat
little
is
of
gummies,
taste.
and they're good. Don't get me wrong. If they were not pot brownies, like I'd eat a half a bag of them, sure. But there's like that hint of something in them that it's not just a regular candy.
Yeah, there's always that aftertaste.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, as someone who now has to, like, how like every vitamin is only available in gummy form when you're in most stores, my multivitamin that I take in the morning is so good that, like, as a fat guy, I'm like worried I'm gonna just relapse and just eat handfuls of my fucking multivitamin in the morning one day, because they're like legit
B12.
They're delicious gummies. They taste.
It's not
great.
gonna hurt you. You're just gonna pee bright yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every time I take them in the morning, I'm like, oh, these are great.
They are delicious.
That's why they make them like that. Yeah.
Seems counterproductive.
No, they want you to eat more.
Would you say it's over the counter productive?
So he's nomming on these. Finally realizes what's in them. He goes, "You mean they're doobie flavored? Ooh, magical fudge!" Like, they make him such a
Oh
fucking
my
geek.
god! I got some magical fudge for this show.
You're worse than this show.
He's asking the wife, "Is it okay with you?" Like, first off, he's already ate it, so it's too late. And she's like, "You're a big boy. Like, I'm not your mother." And he's like, "No, of course not. I'm thirsty." And then he goes, "Ooh, I have a juice box in my bag."
He eats a lot of that brownie too, and the fact that he doesn't partake normally, he's gonna be real fucked up.
Yeah, he hammers that brownie down.
Yeah, he's gonna be.
I'll tell you what though, I've never been like, ooh, brownies. Like, the brownies never really did it for me. They're too rich usually. But for some reason, I really wanted a brownie after watching him eat a brownie. I could have really gone for, like, I thought of Ferg too, because like I could really go for like 2 good brownies and a glass of milk right now.
And not to like over
things.
delve into this conversation, because we've already talked about it a bunch. Is there a reason historically why brownie was like the known item for hiding weed in food?
It was probably one of the things that hit it the best. Just because
Yeah.
of its richness and its sweetness and stuff like that, and ability to make a bunch of at once.
And probably because of that color, because the weed burns up a little.
Okay, yeah.
You'd have dark cookies. This is me guessing. It's no facts.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. Why did brownies become
Now the stuff I hear
mode?
about, like, and again, I'm the square, but it's like popcorn, shit like that. You're like, how do they?
I went to like a weed convention thing years ago in Boston. A friend of mine had tickets, and we went, and they had like this whole like symposium on like chefs, like legitimate chefs who wanted to get into like putting weed into things, and one of them was talking like putting weed into like chilies and pasta sauces and stuff, and I'm like, do you need to do that? Like, is that like, why can't you smoke a joint and then go eat some chili? Why does it have to happen at the same time? It just seems unnecessary to me.
So I know a couple of people back in the circle when I used to cook that as a side gig, they would have a pot catering company where they would come and they would cook a 7-course meal or whatever course that you wanted, but everything would be infused with pot.
Wouldn't make it past the second course.
I was going to say, with edibles, a little goes a long way.
I understand that. That's what I said. And they went, hey, they pay us. And I went, I get it, but
Yeah, I
I
guess.
wouldn't eat it. But no, I mean, anything that you put oil in, you can cook with.
Yeah.
So why not pasta sauce? Why not fry up some shrimp?
I can only say is, again, as a non-smoker, but if I did stuff like that,
Would you have weed, eggplant, parmesan, Jay?
I love eggplant pie. But my thing is, I would rather, if that was something I was into, I feel like I'd rather just take the quick gummies and then just eat a meal. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But some of these people like to do it. They like to eat it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like people are like,
I think it's the novelty.
exactly, like they're more into
Yeah.
the idea, or they're more into the telling somebody that they did it and had tried it and had it this way. Than I don't imagine people are going back to weed chili twice. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I did it. I got super fucked up and puked chili everywhere afterwards. But
Well, it's like people
whatever.
who like have bud tenders at their wedding and stuff. And I'm like, man, I'd take like 2 hits off of like one joint and I'd be like done for the night.
To be fair, Gordo, you and I and even Ferg are in the same boat. We're all pretty lightweight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
not the case for a lot of people. There are people, I mean, we know plenty of them who can just consume marijuana at
Some
like a
people can't
ridiculous
function
rate.
without it.
Me and Ferg
Yeah.
took 2 puffs of a joint once and were lying on our friend's porch, like contemplating existence and having panic attacks. Like,
I'm just going, it won't go away.
it was so bad. And it was like legit the smallest puffs that we just passed around, and that was it. Everybody else was fine, but me and Ferg did not make it.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anyways, yeah, so to reel this back into the show, now we cut to the party. And this was already brought up. First thing we see is Pierce dancing in a way that you would just expect his character to be dancing. It's very weird.
Poorly, a lot of arm movement.
Yeah, and it flags the attention of a girl who's talking to Parker like a few feet away. And she's like, what's wrong with him? He's like, hold on. And he runs up to him, he's like, hey, buddy. Hey, what's up? He's like, what are you doing? I'm just getting down and funky style, extra crispy.
There's got to be a part of this actor's, like, this actor is questioning his decisions at this scene. Like,
I feel like he's the type, the way I can only compare him to like also playing Chili, right? Which we've already talked about. And he's kind of a similar goofy, but goofier in this show.
It's very typecast.
I feel like the way he like, it's very like physical and silly. I feel like that's probably how he acted in real life a lot of times. And like everyone around him found him to be very funny acting that way. And that's how he transitioned his like comedic acting style.
I get a lot of Disney Channel sitcom vibes from his like comedy.
It's very over the top. It's not meant for people even of his age.
Yeah, down and funky, crispy style. The crispy style killed me.
In a good way, like you thought that was funny?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Close you.
If somebody actually, if you saw me dancing like that and I said I'm getting down and funky, crispy style, you would just shake your head and giggle a little bit.
I'd certainly shake my head.
Just saying.
And now Patton walks up to them and they're like, oh, what stinks? And he's like, oh, it's my cologne. It's guaranteed to drive the ladies wild. It was originally used to breed horses.
So did he use horse piss?
Horse cum, maybe, Gordo. I don't know if you breed horses with pee.
No, but like, you know, hunters.
No, he
they
means
put-
like he means like pheromones.
The
is what he's
pheromones
saying.
from
All
the
right.
urine, yeah.
you know, like hunters, like if they want to like attract deer, like they cover themselves in deer piss. Like,
I don't think they cover themselves.
No, they spray the area.
no. You mean I've had this idea of hunting wrong so long?
You're going hunting with Gordo. You guys ready?
You guys want some of this?
He's just
Piss all
dripping
over
wet.
himself. He's getting run down by a fucking horny deer. Help me! Help! We would not help you, dude. Just FYI, we would watch.
So you don't spray yourself.
No,
No.
you don't spray yourself. You go and you spray the area you want them to fucking go
Imagine
to.
like taking Gordo on a hunting trip and he gets in your car. You go,
Oh my god. Oh, I'm dizzy. Shit.
sprayed himself with deer piss.
Just like a fucking 10-point buck running Gordo down with an erection. Help me. Stop.
The deer just starts licking his feet.
Oh God, I'm dying. What the fuck? Somebody do something!
So anyways, this is when Parker's like, hey, listen, like, we're brothers and the way you guys act reflects on me. So just try to be normal. I went through a lot of trouble to get you guys invited to this party. Like, but we live here. It's like, trust me, it took convincing. I would imagine that would be Paige, maybe, who's like, do we have to invite him?
Can you imagine getting kicked out of your own house at a party that's being thrown there?
I could see that being a thing. Like, they could have hid them from the party and like kept them in their room and like trying to pretend that they didn't have a party.
Oh, I
I
totally
could see
tattle.
Jay doing it to his brother.
Well, maybe when we were younger. We cut to Paige here, and she's talking to some boys in the kitchen. He's like, and that's why it's important for me to be with a guy who not only appreciates my body, also my hair. I was like, what?
You poor Marsha Brady.
And Penny hears that, and she's like disgusted and heads outside. And she like into that outdoor porch area I was talking about earlier. And there's some guy there who's just like hanging out by himself. And like, hey, good party, huh? It sucks. Yeah, I hate parties. I hate people. I hate my family. I hate being a Quint. I'm Roger. I'm Penny. I hate my name. I hate my name too. And they just start making out. Yeah. And they just start violently making out. So
I thought the twist was going to be they get away with the party and then the parents walking on them still making out in like another room. And that's how they get caught.
that would have been a fun tie-in later.
That would have been an interesting twist to the show.
But yeah, good to see Penny. That is one thing that this episode does. They kind of give all the lessers their comeuppance.
Well,
Not as much Pierce, but Penny, who's the one who's like the outcast that like no guy would be interested in, like finds a guy immediately. This couple could very much. This show by no means is a Roseanne, but like the Darlene and David outcast couple. And we go back inside and we see Patton and Pierce, and they notice this girl across the living room, and they, their sister Paige is like nearby. So like, hey, like Paige, like, do you know this girl? And she's like, her name's Stacy. She's a vegetarian, loves Coldplay, and has a Pierce left nipple. And Pat's like, can you introduce me? No, I hardly know her. It like walks off.
I don't know. There's something about his sister being the one with all that information that doesn't really make sense.
she's a popular girl.
Yeah, but I mean, she's also kind of like ditzy.
I can see her having stats on everybody, like being.
Yeah, that's true. I guess now that I say it, it does kind of make sense. Okay. Disregard.
And then Patton's like telling his brother Pierce, like, I'm going to need you to be my wingman. He's like, all right, I'm wingman. What are my superpowers? He's like, looks like it's just me. Then he just walks over to her and he's like, hey, I'm Patton. I'm one of the Quints. Hey, I'm Stacy. Gotta run. And she's like it's like, oh. And he goes, listen, babe, I'm heading to the kitchen to make some vegetarian vegetable no meat snack. Do you want anything? And she's like, you're a vegetarian? So am I. Like that's enough from having zero interest to being like, wow, this guy has the same dietary restrictions as me. That's so cool.
That's because all vegetarians care about is other people knowing they're vegetarians.
It's true. Yeah.
More
True.
vegan.
Yeah,
no
that's more of a
our
vegan.
listeners,
Yeah.
but vegans tend to be the worst about it.
Yeah, but vegetarians tend to be vegetarians due to choice. You don't really find people like, oh, I can't have meat. Like I'm sure it exists, and don't make a dick joke, but people are usually vegetarian by choice.
Where would a dick joke fit in there?
Don't make a dick joke, but fucking.
How? Yeah, where is the opening for the dick? Don't make a dick joke, but most vegetarians are by choice.
Yeah, people don't eat meat, and then I saw your face light up like you were about to make a dick joke.
Okay. So
Jay was just thinking about meat.
no, I was thinking of the next line because when she connects over I'm a vegetarian too. He goes, broccoli rules.
He does. He puts like a fist up too.
Yeah. That's when Ferg turned off the episode. He didn't even see the last 5 minutes.
The worst farts.
He's like, this music's so lame. We're going to put some Coldplay on. Like, I love Coldplay. They rock. So he's just going through the steps. So the third thing's going to come up.
Which is where Joe would have shut off the TV show.
Guys, I got to ask, I sent you guys multiple times that Coldplay video.
I have not watched it.
I have not watched it.
It's become funnier to not watch it.
I'll say this. I'm talking like this is a shoot. I'm telling everyone listening and you guys for real. I fucking hate that none of you have watched it. It fucking pisses me off. I'm not even like a giant Coldplay fan. It's just a beautiful tribute to Dick Van Dyke, and I think anyone listening should watch it. It's their
I
newest
love
video.
Dick Van Dyke, but I'm not going to let Coldplay force their way into my algorithm just for Dick Van Dyke.
That's a big thing with you, Jay, is I don't click a lot of the things you send because I don't want that in my algorithm. So
You think watching a Coldplay? I don't listen to Coldplay. It's not my
the
whole
algorithm is a snake, man. It will. I've adopted using incognito mode to just like look things up real like I need a couch for my basement, and I've been searching on incognito mode because I do not need to see couch advertisements everywhere, because the second you look at a couch website or a furniture store or whatever, it's gonna infiltrate, and I don't need
I watched that one video twice, by the way, and never are other Coldplay videos littering my YouTube algorithm.
I don't believe you.
All right, well, I'll give it a shot.
And also, I mean, Coldplay has some other decent songs. I mean, if we're being real.
They have Yellow, and that's it.
The Scientist.
I don't even know that one.
You do.
You do. You just don't know by name.
But anyways, moving forward. So he brings up Coldplay. So now she's like, "Oh, he's a vegetarian and he likes Coldplay." And then he goes, "You know what else rocks? Pierced nipples." And she's like, "What?" He's like, the band Pierced Nipples, they're local." And I will say, he mentions the vegetarian, then he mentions Coldplay, and I knew it was going to happen, but I did find it very funny.
I appreciate the quick cover-up when he realized he went too far. He flew too close to the sun.
And then we cut back to the concert, and now Bob's pretty high. And then, like, all this was just like, I don't know, it was weird. I thought this whole part of him being high was awkward.
It was poor high acting.
Yeah, it's like Andy Richter had never been high before.
Yeah, he was acting more like he was on mushrooms. He's like, "Oh, this is one great concert. The music hasn't started yet." Well, then what was that music I was hearing? You were singing to yourself. That was me? I rock. And then, then we find out he's hungry. He's got the munchies, so he wants to get a pretzel, but he's already had 5, including one that was on the floor.
Ew.
Yeah.
I missed that.
And then he starts chanting, "Bruce, Bruce, Bruce." And then he starts thinking that his own actual voice is echoing, even though he's just saying Bruce over and over again. It was a bit corny.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did Andy Richter, sorry if we've discussed this and I missed it. Did he have a writing credit on this or anything, or is he just acting in it?
No, he's way too funny to have written this.
All right, so that gives me some solace as far as Andy Richter goes, that he probably could have made it better on the other side.
But the writer he has a bunch of writing credits. Like, he's written 22 episodes of Quintuplets. He wrote 4 episodes of Frasier. He wrote 12. This is Mark Reisman. He did 12 episodes of Wings. So he wrote on a bunch of shows. Like, I'm not going to list all of them, but he has a good amount.
I mean, there's a good gap between Wings, Frasier, and this show. What was anything in that gap?
In-Laws. He did 15 episode of In-Laws, which was...
I don't know that one.
I don't either, but maybe we'll cover it. He was the creator of the show as well. That's for another day, though. We'll look into that one. But yeah, no, I just thought like that whole him acting high, just, I don't know, the whole scene was like just it had no direction.
Yeah.
It was basically just to be like, hey, the parents are still out. Just a reminder, here they are. He ate that brownie, don't forget. Also, he's at a Bruce Springsteen concert, but we didn't want to pay to license any Bruce Springsteen songs, so this is all going to have to take place before he goes on stage.
Could have got a little like Dancing in the Dark or something, Born in the USA.
They didn't want to pay for it. It's expensive.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not cheap.
But also, like, pick an artist that's not as expensive and then have them go to their concert.
And have them go to Dawkins.
From that scene, we cut back to Patton, and now he's walking Stacy into his room. I'm like, okay. So he's like, this is the crib. She's like, yeah, it's pretty nice. He's like, yeah, it's pretty slamming. She's like, what's that smell? Are you wearing cologne? Yes, I am. You likey? And then she's like, yeah, you're kind of cute in a freaky little way. He's like, thanks, babe. What do you say we take a little trip over to the bed? She's like, sure, why not? He's like, really?
Everything's coming up, Patton.
So they sit down and they start making out on the bed. Well, they kiss like quickly. And then she starts to unbutton her shirt. He's like, are we going to second base? Thank you. And then she does like that. Like we're looking at her from the back. And then she like opens her shirt up and reveals her tits to him. And he just passes out.
Yeah. I thought this was a funny way to go with this.
Him passing out was funny, but he just should have said something like nipple piercing.
Yeah.
Shiny.
Or Google Gaga.
You know what's kind of a weird transition is right here is like, so he passes out and she's like, Patton, are you all right? Pierce walks in, but like just naturally. Like, you think like maybe she should have shouted louder to justify him walking in. Otherwise, like, I guess in theory, if nothing happened, if he didn't pass out, he would have just walked in while her tits were out. Like, if he didn't just pass out.
Yeah.
He's like, what happened? Like, I don't know. He just collapsed. Is he breathing? And he goes, I'm his brother. I'll breathe for him. And then goes to
I
give
don't
him
know
mouth
why
to
I
mouth.
thought this was funny.
And I'll say, like, this part here I thought was kind of funny because now he's going to try to give his brother mouth to mouth, and Pierce's retainer gets caught on Patton's braces, so now they're stuck together.
My problem with this, as a former braces person, a retainer just comes out. Could have just taken his retainer out.
Sure.
Yeah, but if you're lip locked.
You could still take your retainer out. If they were both wearing, if it was their braces were stuck together, it would have worked.
Sure. But for comedic purposes, they're now attached. And now it looks like they're just like, they're both on their feet, and it looks like they're making out. And then right when this happens, Parker walks in with that girl, Brooke, and he's the same thing. So this is the crib. And she goes, what's that? He's like, oh my God, are your brothers making out? And then Parker jumps in to try to help, and like he's able to get the two loose.
It's almost as if this has happened before, and I have so many questions.
Yeah. He was able to disconnect them pretty easy. And that girl, Sarah, that was when Patton was like, bye, tiny guy, I've got to go. So now that they're loose, Parker's like, what happened? And Pierce is like, I breathe life into Patton. He's my slave now. What? And that girl, Brooke's like, could you two be any more pathetic? I don't get it, Parker. How could you be related to these two losers? He's like, hey, Brooke, calm down. They're not losers. Parker, open your eyes. They're total freaks. And that's when Patton goes, back off, babe. And he goes, you back off, pygmy. And like, it was like she was so aggressive about it that like he almost like flew back. She's telling Parker, hey, I wouldn't push your luck here. Just get rid of these two idiots and I'll pretend like nothing's happened. And then she's like being like aggressive with him, like, do it now. He's like, uh-oh. She's like, what? I'm sorry. I should have told you when you got here. We had a bitch detector installed in our house and you just set it off. Excuse me? I think you should go, Brooke. She goes, fine. I'm wearing a thong, and leaves.
It would have been funny if Pierce was like, me too.
No, instead Pierce goes, when did we get a bitch detector installed?
Oh, God.
Read the room.
I really like Parker sticking up for his brothers. I'm glad he got that redemption.
But it's weird because we talked about this earlier. Just the idea of them being quintuplets is so not believable. And he even plays like the big brother here.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Even not even like the little one. He looked drastically older than Pierce too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now Paige runs in. Mom and Dad just called. They're on their way home. And we see like this like quick scramble montage to just get everyone out of the house as quick as possible. And there's like a transition shot to that whiteboard that we keep saying that's used for all the transitions. And where it says party gets erased and they just write like game night. And then now they're all in the living room and you hear they're coming. And the kids scramble to like finish cleaning and jump into their seats like right as the parents walk in. And the house looks like spotless. Like there's like no sign of party.
Yeah.
And as soon as the parents walk in, it's like they're playing Scrabble. So it's like, family, FAM. And like mom's super touched that they all just spent the night in together, like playing Scrabble. And dad's still high. I love you kids. Screw the Hellberg Quints, those gorgeous freaks.
I like when they go up the stairs, though, and he's like, when did we have we always had this many stairs?
Could take me 2 trips.
Yeah, it's going to take me 2 trips, made me laugh.
And and the parents leave. And the kids are all talking like, Parker, I can't believe we pulled it off. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, the party was kind of a bust. It's like, are you kidding? That was the greatest party of all time. I saw boobs and they weren't on a computer screen. That is I think we've talked about this before. But like, you're a teenager or whatever, first time you see boobs for real, in real life, that's a moment.
IRL boobs.
Life-changing. And then you see female boobs and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I was just looking at my uncle's boobs. And then Pierce is like, and I got to first base. Granted, it was with Patton, but it still counts.
Yeah, that was kind of gross.
Oh, he sucks.
And Payne's like, I met a guy. He's kind of strange and angry, and I think he stole Dad's golf clubs, but I can't wait to see him again. after that, we transition back upstairs. We have the parents in their room. And Bob's like, oh, what great kids we have. Like, they just spent the night alone, like just playing Scrabble. And Mom's like, you bought that? You are high. They had a party tonight. He's like, what? He's like, when this buzz wears off, I'm going to go set them straight. It's like, no, you're missing the point. The 5 of them, they lied and manipulated us. They're doing things together again.
This a little bit redeemed the mom for me, just because, I mean, she let it slide. She knew, like, she was aware enough to know that they had a party. She figured it out and was just happy that they did something together. And I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I can kind of support her outlook on this, at least. It's not totally ridiculous like the rest of her outlooks.
There was no signs of a party, so there was nothing that should have tipped her off to know. I know it's like, oh, a parent knows, but they did a very good job.
There could have been like, yeah, there could have been like one something that you noticed on the way up. Or
maybe the fact that the house was spotless was the indicator, you know?
You know, thinking back, I didn't even think about this as we watched it, but was anyone even drinking at the party?
No, I don't think they harped on that. I mean,
not that I saw.
At 15, too, like, yes, there can be drinking, but I don't think it's the focal point.
They draw the line at teenage sex. They're not going to have them drinking.
Yeah.
It seems like the whole purpose of this party is for everyone to just find someone to make out with.
Right.
Maybe it was a funky dance party, crispy style.
But I don't, because now that I think about it, like, I just don't think at least if anyone was, it was never alluded to at all. Like, there wasn't a single line that referenced anyone drinking or anything like that.
No.
I can't even remember if anyone had a cup, like a red cup or anything.
No, I didn't see anything that alluded to that. People were just like dancing and talking.
Lame.
Imagine, even at that age, imagine being invited to a party and it's just everyone's just hanging out in the living room. That's it. Oh, we got a speaker. Oh, cool. Bob goes, I love those kids. They're like a beautiful hand, but the fingers are all people. And all the people have hands, and he's just, he's high. And it's like he just drifts off in that car. And that's how, like, the episode ends. That stupid line.
I know it's probably just the version we had, but the episode literally just fucking stops abruptly. There could have been something after this and we wouldn't know.
No, I was like, his call goes into him going, the echo's back. That's the callback line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that's how it ends.
I would have liked the line with the mom being like, they had a party. But they did it together. This is like the time they thought I didn't know he ate all those batteries. It showed like she knows everything they think they don't know.
Yeah, true. That would have been a good callback.
Yeah, usually you want to know that like secretly someone's smarter or this, I don't know. It just, we're going to get into it in a minute because we just completed the episode, but you just want there to be a little bit more meat on the bone here. And like they just kind of made everyone a little too dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Not every show can do well, right? And if you want to succeed, you have to do better than this, I think is the real distinguishing factor about it. Is there potential? I'd be lying if I said no, there's no potential, especially with Andy Richter. Andy Richter's hilarious. Give him time and let's see what happens. Although Ferg might be right. It might be he can really only second chair it. But, I mean, it's just so many things they could have done differently. And as we discussed this show, I think I appreciated it just a little bit more. It wasn't as god-awful as I really made it out to be. There's just like, I don't know, you can do a lot better. And they just
I think if they recast all the kids, and I never the real realization was when we did the middle, and then I went back and watched the original pilot, and how it was scene for scene the same with different actors, and just none of it worked. But the middle works with its current cast. This needed like a retool with different casts. Just keep Andy Richter, maybe the mom, but
yeah, but even with the scenes with them, when I look back, like the whole concert scene was just like filler, and it was just a means to get them out of the house. And I don't know, the writing needed some punch ups for sure. I like the idea of the siblings like working. I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to blame just the kids who are acting because I thought most of them were all right.
No, it's the writing in the show.
But I thought the writing, I just think it was like, if you have nothing to work with, you have nothing to work with. But with that in mind, there's not a lot of facts on the show, like interesting things you could bring up that I can easily find at least. So we have 4 of us right now. Joe's not here. We'll do the green light or cancel. Obviously, we'll put that up on our website, S1E1 pod on our social medias. There'll be a graphic with all our final scores, including his in the event of a tie. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'll go around clockwise. So Nick, starting with you.
Yeah, listen, Kyle was the one who suggested this show. Kyle, I don't want you to feel bad because I'm canceling this show, but this isn't one of those I had an awful time and an awful experience watching it like I've done with some of Joe and Gordo's picks. But because this was a show that I'm glad we did. I like Andy Richter, and it was interesting to talk about, although it was bad. Like I said a couple minutes ago, there's just so much more work that needs to be done on this show for it to even come close to a green light. There's no real enticing reason to watch a second episode in this. It's too bad, too, because like I said a few times, I love Andy Richter. I think he's really funny. And even some of the cast on this, the main thing I came around on, actually, discussing it after watching it, is he's not the youngest. I know we've gone over this, but the smallest sibling there. He kind of carried a lot of the show, and I think he did an okay job with it, looking back at it. That was, it was annoying. I don't know why they made him seem so much younger and kind of ignored the fact that they're quintuplets, aside from the fact that they just said that they were quintuplets a bunch of times. But there's not enough here. It's a cancel, but it was engaging at least. So there's that. That's all she wrote for me, though.
Gordo.
I'm actually going to greenlight this. Kyle, you can come to the TikTok Riz party and we can chat Andy Richter, because this wasn't the worst show that we've watched. I've greenlit worse things. I thought that the dynamic was actually kind of cool to see, and it was just stupid and goofy, and why not see a second episode? Like, it wasn't like offensive or anything. Like, it was fine. It was just a run-of-the-mill Fox sitcom. It deserves a second episode, I think, anyways. I'm probably going to be the only one, maybe Jay. But, yeah, it's a green light from me.
Ferg.
I always know when he has a pause before his decision, he's going to go against the group.
In fairness, he went second. So, I mean, it's like,
Well, I'm with Nick on this one. That's going to be a cancel from me. It's one of those shows with a big cast, and they throw them all at you at once. You really didn't get a chance to know them all well. We've seen shows that do it well, shows that don't. This is one of them. I think this show may have worked well if they leaned more into like a kids show. Like, I compare it to like a Disney thing. Take some of the adult stuff out. It may have worked for like a younger generation, but it was just right in the middle, and like, so nothing. It wasn't for anybody. I thought the acting was atrocious. I know, bad writing. I didn't think the acting for the kids were good. Andy Richter was a good actor, except for when he's pretending to be high, because apparently he's never been high before. Yeah, I don't have much good to say about this show, so it's just like cancel for me.
I'm also canceling. I looked at it with, usually I can put my finger on a few things and I'm like, this and this and this could fix it. I'm not sure, because like, I really don't hate most of the casting. I think the writing was just really bad here. I would be interested to see another episode, like to see if it's any better or fleshed out. But yeah, I think Andy's character of Bob was too goofy. I don't hate the mom. I don't know. It just didn't work. And the storyline wasn't great on this one. This was like one of those other ones too, where we said like the whole basis of the show is that they're quintuplets, and they go out of their way to make them all look totally different and be different ages, like not different ages, but different like sizes. And you would be convinced that they're all siblings, but of different age. I think maybe it would have been funny if 4 of them were almost identical, and then you had Patton, that's the runt, who looks totally different. Like, that could have worked. But yeah, trying to give them all 5 totally different identities visually as well as personality, I think takes away from the theme of, look at these quintuplets, because now it's not believable that they're quintuplets. So with that in mind, I'm sorry, regardless of Joe's score, it's going to be a cancel from us. And again, in no way does this reflect, Kyle, we super appreciate you picking this show. Like Nick, I don't hate it. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, my anger was a joke. I'm not mad at Kyle.
Yeah. So thank you very much for suggesting this one. I think this is a show that we may not have caught if you didn't suggest it. And again, thank you for just being a great fan. We do appreciate it. We think it's super cool that, you're rocking our t-shirt and all that stuff too. Again, sorry to quintuplets who do not live on to see another episode with us. Want to thank all of you guys for listening as you do each week. Again, this is week 2 of 5 of our January, so listen out next week when we have another new episode for you. Hopefully with Joe, provided that he doesn't destroy anything in the kiln or whatever. So we'll catch you next week. Thank you. Goodbye.
I think we got the best pierced nipples